Hey everybody. So this particular research paper is called Empowering Economic Simulation for Massively Multiplayer Online Games Through Generative Agent-Based Modeling, and it's put out by a bunch of institutions across the world. A few different, NetEase out of China, as well as the University of British Columbia, the National University of Singapore, and a few different other institutions as well. And then so overall, the bottom line, this research paper delves into a very interesting concept and a very unique concept, especially to have all of these different entities involved in it. But it's we'll dive into that, right? Because essentially what they're going into within this is how to utilize AI, specifically LLM models, for to power economic systems of MMO games, like to be the shopkeeper, the auction system, to understand the fluctuations in the economy, make adjustments in the economy accordingly, etc. And they dive into and they give all of the code for all of this, right? Like the code is very in depth and intricate as far as what they release, right? So it's when you dive into the code, they have the foundation, the agents, what the agents can do. So you can see like bargain, market, readjustment, recharge, shop, task, upgrade. And you have entities, scenarios, and utilities. That's kind of the gist of it overall. The knock that they put on themselves within this, like what they can't currently do, is get the agents to barter, it. You don't want to essentially give the player direct access to say like an LLM model as a shopkeeper. They're not at that level yet because it's you could manipulate the model too well. It's kind of the bottom line within that. But as far as the models being able to generate, simulate, and control the economy, like an MMO-style economy, these models are able to do that. And then so that has direct applicability for people within the video game industry, but then also there's a more broad applicability for that, right? If it were just that, that makes this applicable, I don't think you would see all of these institutions being a part of this, right? The fact that there's so many institutions that are here, studying this particular topic, virtual environments for MMO economies. To me, there's a more in-depth kind of research question within this, right? And this was presented at a conference in Ontario, Canada. It's going to be presented at a conference in Ontario, Canada, in August. And then so I think that what the broader implications of this are that you can simulate and start to simulate real world economies, right? And that's what they get into and start to get into within this research paper. And then of course, the MMO isn't going to reflect a world or a global economy. Right? That would be a little much. But to have it reflect, to say, a more localized economy, and then give it enough variables and enough patterns of the actual economy to be able to mimic it, you have essentially a very powerful product and unique data set and very unique information that you derive just from that, right? You essentially learn the ins and outs and in very intricate and detailed ways. And you can run simulations over and over again on that local economy, right? So whatever it is. And then so that data becomes in and of itself more valuable than anything else, right? At that point, the simulation data that you're generating from that becomes more valuable than the video game itself. I think that's what the big thing and the big push within this, laying that out from a very honest perspective. That is the very much the read that I get from this research paper and from these things, right? And I've pointed it out before that so like the Chinese government very specifically, they have the stance that anything that is that it's transferable, anything that you can do in a virtual environment can be transferable to a real world environment. And then so solving a local economy in a simulated environment is 100% the same as solving that in a non-virtual environment. And whether or not you agree or disagree with that is fine, but that's the CCP stance on that, right? And then so that's the stance that they're going with within that and driving towards within that. And it's important to point that out and to highlight that. Like that's the research that is going on here and within it, and the technology is here and able to do that. And to me, these things are I like playing around with economies and algorithms overall. I can talk a lot about that, right? And to me, that's bad territory, like uncanny valley territory. Like we don't want to start going down that road. I'm very hesitant to ever build anything around those aspects and those areas directly, right? And a reason, like I very rarely talk about finance algorithms because to me it's like a 100% slippery slope, right? You're taking and you're putting like the agency, we'll call it, outside of the human controlled aspects. Like it's the second that you start employing algorithms into it, right? And then so within that, it becomes essentially an arms race. And then so it's literally just two levers that you can pull within that arms race because you've already, like from jump, you're separating human agency, right? So it's, is my algorithm better than yours? Or can I like create a GAN that will like fool your algorithm at least for a limited amount of time, right? And then I can get away with that. And then make like short-term gains based off of that. And then both of those methods are effective and they have their place within that. But that's essentially the game that you're playing. And then to me, it's just like a very boring game overall, and it's not a game that I care to play like overall. But then within like this is a whole other aspect of that entirely, right? This is like that on steroids and times like a bajillion. And then like when it comes to like regulation and like all of those like anything that comes around regulation, like these are the types of real world scenarios that like people talk about, right? Like I don't worry about terminators. I worry about this. Like this is a like so anyone that gets access to like this type of information is like over an economic system again. Like imagine so this technology is built up, becomes better, and like they like someone just starts releasing like free MMOs. Like I can 1,000,000% see that happening, right? And it would be like beautifully what like well invested, good games overall, like very strong addicting games to play, and then they just release them 100% free, and then on the back end those games are just flat out simulating like literal real world economies, and then they just get to like simulate and play with real world localized economies in these MMO games. And from these MMO games, as a result of all of this, and then like all of this is just like feeding data back on the back end, and that's like a like that's what you get out of this. That's what the end result is of this, right? There should be some sort of regulation of this, but at the very least, there should be at least some sort of talk around this and knowledge around this. And then so I guess that's step number one, right? Is talking about these issues. These things exist. This is the way that they're being looked at. This is the way that they're laid out. And I mean, this is the way that it operates, right? Like whether or not you want this to operate this way, you want it to be in existence, you want people to utilize it or not, it doesn't change the equation that like people are going to, right? This is going to be a part of the equation of all of our lives moving forward within this. It's just like a natural part of the framework that now exists. And then so what do you want to do with that and within that? And then like trying to just say like I don't want it to exist doesn't change it from existing overall. Like we can regulate it if a bunch of people come together, but that requires a bunch of people coming together specifically for and wanting regulation around those things, right? But then so then it all of the power lies with you. What do you want to do with these things, and how would you like to handle these things? It's a cool concept right now, right? Like now it's a novelty, it's a toy, and that's kind of the big thing and the big investment within this. But like it's not going to be a novelty and a toy forever, right? And it's going to grow up, and then like people are and already have been working on this, and then here's all of the code for it, right? Everything that you need. And then so I'll leave a link to the research paper here, and then from the research paper you can access that code directly. And then so here it is: empowering economic simulation for massively multiplayer online games through generative agent-based modeling. And if you like this type of content, please like, subscribe. Thank you very much.